What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Heavyweight Nation podcast. And today we're joined with West Virginia's 125-pounder, Killian Cardinale, 2023 All-American. What's going on, Killian? How you doing?
Pretty good. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Of course, bro. So talk a little bit about this season, man. Got yourself on the podium, and I think a lot of people were, kind of shocked to see how you performed. I think we talked to some people, and they said that you were the bracket breaker. So talk a little bit about what that was like and what wrestling in Tulsa was like.
Yeah, I mean, this year was just kind of crazy. I didn't really have I couldn't wrestle a lot of this year. I was injured pretty much all season, from the beginning of around August till nationals. I was really banged up, that's why I couldn't wrestle at Big 12. I could only wrestle a little bit of the matches during the year. So yeah, there was a lot of doubts whether or not I was even going to be able to wrestle this season. Whether or not I should take a medical red shirt maybe. That was an option about halfway through, and then I was just kind of I'm gonna give it a shot. It's my last kind of go around, and yeah, I had surgery less than a month before nationals. So I was kind of just leaving it up to the universe, I guess, and just doing as much as I can, whatever I could, basically, to get my mind and my body ready. And it ended up working out. Obviously, you always want to do better, right? But getting on the podium, it felt good, especially after, you get on the podium once 2 years ago, and then you get pinned in the blood round, and then getting back on feels good. So yeah.
And
That's
surgery a month
what I was gonna
before
say.
nationals.
That's crazy talk right there. I'm sure your team doctor and trainer and all that were probably not so sure if that was going to be possible even for you to go.
Yeah. Here's the thing, it's so I tore my meniscus right the day before we were wrestling Air Force, and I was kind of freaking out a little bit, especially 2 or 3 days after my knee just wasn't getting better. It was just super swollen, super locked out. But my coach Tim Flynn, he was very calm. He was very poised about the whole situation, and they were basically you get your meniscus out. People have wrestled, a week later from that. So that kind of made me feel good, seeing how calm he was. And then at basically, when it happened, I was kind of just I can't do anything about this, so fuck it. I'm gonna have surgery. They're gonna take it out. I'm gonna rehab as much as possible, and
Yeah,
you
just go
know,
for it.
yeah. And I mean, I just had to train my mind basically to kind of get me through that pain, and I could only I think I got back on the mat 5 days before the tournament and started drilling. So it was really just about trying to be resilient and do what I can, control what I can control. But yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, we needed a off the mat interview of you. I tore my meniscus. You got my meniscus taken out less than 30 days ago, and I'm here winning matches at nationals. Excuses are for pussies. That's what we that's what we needed from you. Just a hot take on the mic. But no, I think that's insane, man. So you currently have no meniscus. Is there any plans to do? I know they could what stretch one of your isn't it stretch a ligament and make you a new meniscus?
I've never heard of that, but I would be interested to learn more. Nah, so basically they just took my meniscus out, and I rehabbed over at our football facility with the physical therapist over there. But I actually have ACL reconstruction surgery next Monday because I tore my ACL back in October.
Wow, same knee
Yeah,
or different knee?
other knee.
Oh, So you're gonna have a
Wow.
reconstructed ACL and no meniscus.
Yeah, so
I'm sure
that's
you
what
feel
kept.
great when you get out of bed in the morning.
Yeah, man. This college, this D1 shit it's hard, man. It's hard on the body, hard on the mind. But yeah, that's kind of what kept me out of the beginning of the season up until Midlands was I tore my ACL and I had to rehab that until I felt confident enough to wrestle with the brace. Um, so yeah, this whole year was just dealing with injuries, and then the reason why I think my ACL tore is because I had these stress fractures in both my big toes all summer, and I didn't know, like, we didn't know what it was from. They kept trying to like rehab my toe muscles and stuff like that, but it just wasn't working. Got an MRI and it basically showed like these they're called like bone marrow edemas. So there's just fluid in my both my metatarsals. So I'm all jacked up.
Yeah,
Oh,
wow, man.
holy man. Walking around must not be too easy for you. I'm sure, especially after I'm sure the couple days after nationals when you were home and getting out of bed in the morning wasn't too fun.
No, no, and it was I mean, just and then you gotta think it's just like I had shoulder surgery 2 years ago, and it's like the shoulder always gives me some issues. And I mean,
You
every
know,
wrestler has back problems and hip problems,
I never thought
and I
I'd
mean,
meet somebody that had worse surgeries than Matt. Matt has bad knees.
Yeah,
Like
I've had
bad.
5 knee surgeries, both
damn,
knees, no meniscus, MCL, partial ACL, and my
yeah,
shoulder. So
man,
And
we're
his
kind of
shoulder.
matching.
He just had his shoulder. Yeah, he just had his shoulder this year.
damn, yeah,
We're,
and it's
we're
like
matching, man.
it's crazy because like, well, my story is kind of unique. It's not that unique,
I've
in like
never
collegiate
heard the big
wrestling.
toes. Do you think that was from wrestling, the big toes?
Yeah, I think it was just overuse, um, overuse, overtraining, and then just it led to compensating in ways to where I think my body just
Yeah,
my knees got weaker.
that's how my knee problem started with it's your alignment. I broke the outside of my foot. I started walking on the inside of my foot through my alignment, totally out of whack. And that's how my knee problem started.
Yeah, the body's all connected in ways like that.
Yeah,
Crazy,
it's crazy,
man.
man. But to
Crazy,
accomplish
crazy.
what you did still is very
Yeah. I
impressive
mean, there's probably not a lot of people out there that could say they got their meniscus taken out and then became an All-American less than a month later.
with the
That's
torn ACL.
with the torn ACLs though.
Yeah, people were talking to my coach Mitchell Port, and he told me this after the tournament, and people were like, how do you think he's gonna do?" And he was basically like, he could win it or he could go 0-2, and that was kind of I just had to let go of like I mean, even if you're not hurt, you kind of got to let go of like the outcome that you want in a match, right? If you're wrestling or any sport and you're just thinking about, winning or losing, yeah, you're not really in the moment. Your mind's like projecting ahead into the future. So you got to be present. You got to be focused on like moving your feet, moving your hands, hand fighting, um, getting to the scores, putting pressure on the guy. And if you do all those things, then you'll win the match.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Crazy, man.
definitely.
Like so did you wrestle Big 12s this year?
No, I had to.
No.
So that Big 12s was like a week and a half, 2 weeks after I got surgery, and so I wasn't ready to go then. So I had to just. I walked out on the mat. I shook Reese Whitcraft's hand, and then they just stopped the match after that, and so I had to just default out. And that's why I kind of got, and only having 10 matches, that's why I got such a low seed or high seed, I guess.
So at 125, you were able to still you got a normal berth, right? You didn't have to wait and get like a last chance like they give out. You were like because you went to Big 12s, you were able to just qualify immediately.
No, I had to get a wild card.
Oh, you got a wild card. Okay. So crazy to
And
think
that's
there that
yeah, because that's the other thing too is like I only
you're not
had
guaranteed a
10
wild
matches.
card. Yeah.
Yeah, so you don't know if you're gonna get in or not. But
Yeah,
I guess
that's crazy, man. Your story this year is, there should be a Flow movie made about you. Crazy year this year for you, man. That's awesome. Awesome to see. So like you said, so I'm sure in the back of your mind you probably weren't thinking that you were gonna end up on the podium again this year. But your most banged up year, you got ACL surgery coming up in the postseason. You already had your meniscus taken out, your toes are messed up, and your shoulders hurt. Kind of a lot of going against you, man. So what was kind of the way you mentally prepared and kind of just went for it?
I think everyone can do, everyone can go to practice, right? Everyone can go to class, go to the training room when things are going good, right? And everything's kind of going the way you want it to. It's really easy to kind of go to practice and be disciplined and do all this shit. But it's when shit hits the fan and things don't go your way that that kind of shows like what you're made of and what your character's like and who you are as a person. And so like you can't control a lot of things, man, and your knees tear and whatever. So it's really, when it first happens, you're kind of like you're a little negative and you got to kind of feel those feelings. But then you got to say, man, like I got to be a rock right now. I got to be, a rock that just lets the waves crash over it while everything around me else is going kind of going to shit. I got to be strong. I got to be stable right now and find a way to do what I can do. I had to change up a lot of the ways that I trained this year and wrestle. I couldn't, just go, right? I had to not wrestle some days and just hit the bike and do weightlifting. And so, yeah, it was just really about controlling what I can and trying to be calm while everything else around me is just not going the way that I want it to.
Crazy, man. That's crazy. I'm sure, mentally that wasn't the easiest thing. I'm sure there were some challenges that you faced mentally, and I'm sure it wasn't easy. So talk a little bit about your support system, man. Give some shout outs to some of those people that, were in your corner the whole year. And, you know, I'm sure you had some very heart to heart conversations with trying to know if it was, because I'm sure in the back of your mind, you thought immediately, like you were saying, take the medical red shirt and kind of forget about this year. So like you said, talk about your support system and talk about, how they pushed you all the way to become an All-American.
Yeah. So, I mean, the support system we have here is really awesome. Our coach, my coach, Tim Flynn he's great. And it's like, even when I tear my meniscus or tore my ACL, and it's like I talked about before, he was always just calm. And like, I think that's important as a coach. It's like, he might've been freaking out inside. Like he was probably freaking out on the inside. Like, wow, one of my best guys his ACL just tore and he's already banged up, but he was always calm. And so it's like, that's always good when you see like the guy in command, being calm and like still have faith in you. And then our trainer, he worked with me so much this year. Just like whenever I needed to get in the training room or do rehab, he was always there. Whatever I asked, whatever I needed, he was there to accommodate me. And all of our coaches, they help out like that. And I worked with a sports psych guy this whole year. I think that helped. I paid for that myself. Just trying to get any kind of edge. I remember in the beginning of the year, I was like, I don't want to leave any stones unturned. And I think that helped, especially too, just like dealing with injuries and kind of figuring out ways to relax and recover and just deal with those. And then, my girlfriend lives with me, so she's just, dealing with me all year. Just being super focused, super diligent and selfish a lot of times too, right? Like if you're trying to become a national champion, All-American, like you got to sacrifice a lot of things and you got to be really selfish. So her just sticking it out with me and doing just being supportive, I think, even when I'm hungry and kind of acting like a dickhead and stuff like that. And then my parents just always being there and helping me. So and that's just like a couple people. It's like there's so many people that uh that have helped me on this journey ever since I was little. I remember Burrow saying something, I think when he won his last world title, is like if he could, give everyone a piece of his gold medal, it would be like the size of a piece of sand. And that's true. It's like so many people have helped me that are just like it would take forever to go through.
Yeah, definitely. And talked about a lot this year and your great success, but where did that all start? How'd you get into wrestling?
My dad wrestled, his dad wrestled, both my uncles wrestled in Jersey. So they're pretty good wrestlers in Jersey. And so he always just put me around it. He coached high school in Jersey. I grew up there for a little bit. And then so just being around it, and then I just kind of fell in love with it from a young age, I think. And I always just liked the process, I guess. I remember in middle school and elementary school just always like looking forward to going to practice. And I don't ever remember like my parents ever forcing me to go. It was always like I wanted to go, and I feel like that's why I've been so successful. Is just because I've never had someone else tell me to do this. I've always wanted to do it. And I think that's why you see a lot of guys that are a lot of times really good in high school. I think that's why a lot of guys kind of fall off when they get to college, because they're always having, their club coach tell them to do this, or their parents tell them to go do this. But then when you get to college, man, you're all on your own, and there's a million things you can do besides wrestle when you get to college. You can go to parties, you can stay up to however late you want, and no one's telling you what to do. So I think that just from a young age, like having this just drive, just like an internal drive, has helped me a lot.
Definitely, man. And I think we see that a lot, We see, a lot of people talk about, if you want to go to college and party, you could go to college and kind of waste your wrestling career away and throw everything away. But when we see that sometimes. We see some guys that resonate that, are these high school, studs, and then they come out and get to college and they kind of lose themselves a little bit. So, I mean, I'm sure it's easy I'm sure it's easy to do. I'm sure, you know, that's something that you've seen guys on your own team go through that come in these super hot recruits and kind of fall off a little bit. But so talk a little
Yeah,
bit
and
about why you chose West Virginia. Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
no, I mean, I was gonna say it's like a lot of this comes from like personal experience too. So like, early in my college career, it's like I was always super. I go to the room before practice. I'm like, I'm on. I'm super into it. But it's like that's the same kind of thing. Like I go hard in the wrestling room. I'm gonna party hard. I'll be like, you know what I mean. But once I kind of figured that out,
The work-life
it took
balance.
it took about like 2.5 years or so, and then I kind of realized like, oh, like I need to be all in. Um, and it wasn't until like I kind of figured some stuff out like off of the mat and outside the wrestling room that like I started to see more success, and it's like if you want to be an all-American, you want to be a national champion, like you can't be a normal college kid. And it's like I don't want to be a normal college. Like what does normal mean? Like I hear a lot of successful people talk about this. Like you don't want to be normal. It's like on a bell curve. Like you don't want to be, you want to be one of the outliers. So you got to do things differently. And a lot of times like that means like kind of upsetting people, or like upsetting people like in your friend group or whatever. It's like you gotta do your own kind of thing. Because it's easy, like people conform so much when there's like just large numbers of people. So you gotta figure out what's important to you, and you gotta, prioritize that.
Yeah. And, you know, rolling into this question, what made you choose to go to West Virginia? What was the your recruiting process like coming out of high school? Talk a little bit about why you made the choice to go to West Virginia.
Yeah, so like I was okay in high school. But at first I went to Old Dominion University, which their program we it got cut in the spring of 2020.
Yeah, they had some studs. They had some
Mm-hmm.
studs get split up. I know yourself. Mikhail McGee. Obviously, he had a really good year this year, and I'm sure there's some other people I'm not thinking of, but
Yeah, we still got a couple guys running around at different schools.
mhm.
But yeah, so went there, and I just got really good, man, at ODU. I got really developed technically wise, and wrestling with like Mikhail and Sidarian Perry and um, that whole room, it just wrestling all those different guys made me really good. And then like my third year at ODU, that's when I kind of started like having success, beating some ranked guys, doing well at tournaments, getting in the lineup. And then we didn't have nationals that year. And then a couple weeks after that, they let us know that they're cutting our program in the middle of COVID. So it's like, all right, so COVID happened, no nationals. Then you're cutting our program. We can't go visit these schools because it's in the beginning of COVID. So it's like if I want to go visit a school, I can't because all the travel stuff. So I had all these schools reaching out to me, and basically I would just, have phone calls with them, Zoom calls. They would be like walking me around the campus like on a phone, basically. Um, but what made me choose West Virginia was I had already known the coaches here a little bit. I went to Edinburgh in high school. I took a visit there in high school, and they were still all there. So I was familiar with them. It was still pretty close to my house. It's about like a 3-hour drive to Virginia. Financially, it made the most sense. I got a pretty good offer, and then I think I only lost like a couple credits coming here, so it kind of just made the most sense, and I felt like there's an interesting culture here. West Virginia doesn't have any sports teams, so like the fans around here are very they get very pumped up for all of West Virginia sports, so it's just a great atmosphere too.
Yeah, I was gonna say not a lot of sports are offered at West Virginia, and I think a lot of people are surprised when they hear wrestling. But we've heard that the West Virginia fans they get in there for the dual meets and they get loud and they have a good time.
Yeah, I think we had like the second most people attend one of our duels this year when we wrestled Iowa State, so that was awesome. It was a big crowd.
Big crowd is always good, man. So awesome to talk through your career a little bit, man. Really is really awesome to get to see that kind of stuff. So I'm gonna throw it over to Matthew. We have a little Q&A segment we like to add, like to do. Some are gonna be wrestling related, some are gonna be restaurant related. It's gonna be some random stuff. So I'll throw it over to Matthew.
Awesome.
Yeah, man, we're just gonna start with some wrestling still. Like this summer, I know you're getting the ACL surgery and that's gonna take a while to heal. But after that, what are your plans for after that?
After that, you know, I think kind of see if I've been thinking about this a lot, and I don't know, always be involved in wrestling somehow. Um, but I think I might try and look at some other industries and see where this kind of drive that I've gotten in wrestling and see if I can apply it to some other industries. And I think at some point, I want to be kind of an entrepreneur and start a couple companies and maybe something related to wrestling, maybe not, but I know that whatever I do, it's a lot of it is going to come from what I've learned in this sport and just the discipline and the drive and the determination. And I think that's why wrestlers are so successful just in life, is because we put ourselves through so much just adversity and through so much shit, you know.
Yeah, man, for sure. And, whatever you do, you're gonna do great. I'm sure of that. But let's see. I want to know your favorite neutral attack, pre and post injury.
Favorite neutral attack. Ah,
It's a good one.
all right. I wouldn't say it's like one thing, but I love Russian ties, and so I'd say it's like kind of a combination between a couple things. So it's like I'll get a Russian tie, I'll grab a key lock, I'll throw the guy down, and if I can score off of that, I'll do that. But if not, they'll usually square up, and if they get a little bit of space, I'm gonna club them real hard with my left hand, and I got a real nasty knee pull, usually to their right leg. So yeah.
Awesome, man, definitely.
So
And this is a little question we've been asking more recently. Favorite walkout song?
Ooh, uh, Bouncing by Chief Keef. And I guess this is a little fun fact too. This is a we always start that song off with our pre-match warm up. Um, it just especially on a 1 hour weigh-in, you feel like complete dog shit, at least in my experience.
Mhm.
You don't feel great going into that 1 hour weigh-in, and that song, it kind of just gets me and the boys hype and ready to get a good warm up in.
ready to take
Definitely.
somebody's head off their shoulders.
Yep.
So you big Chief Keef guy. So you've been talking a lot about feeling like dog shit wrestling after weigh-ins. So what's the weight cut like for you, man? What's is it bad?
I mean, I don't think my body is meant to be at 125 pounds for like 6 months out of the year. Um, but I'm a really disciplined individual, so it's like it's not like I'm gonna be cutting like 9, 10 pounds 2 days or the day before, but it's just tedious. You know what I mean? Like eating the same shit like every day, relatively eating the same stuff. Um, Making sure that I'm like not too heavy, so I like to stay around like 6 to 7 over usually. But yeah, like the last little bit when you're approaching a weigh in, it's just tough because you know your body's beat up from just workouts, and you don't have the fuel that you want, so it's like those last couple pounds are kind of tough, and you're dehydrated, and yeah, so it's not bad, but it's by no means fun at all.
What are you walking around at, like off season?
I think I'm a little heavy right now. But right now I'm like 143 ish, 140
So
Yeah.
normally cutting about 20 pounds.
And
ish. Yeah, I'll probably like drop a little bit. Like I'll say that I'll probably be around like 36, 37.
yeah, that's a and I think we've kind of seen it change a little bit 125 because I feel like a lot of time 125 was guys at 106 and 120 and 125 getting recruited for out of high school to come wrestle 125. And now I feel like we're seeing guys that are wrestling 130 or whatever the 130 weight class is, they're getting recruited to come wrestle D1. And you know what you're doing? You're sucking 5 or 6 pounds. You're not gonna just wrestle 133. You're gonna go down to 25.
Mm-hmm.
So you said, weigh-ins, you're 6, 7 pounds is a good spot for you. So what are you eating after your weigh-ins? What makes you happy after weigh-ins? You get to eat a little bit.
Um, Usually some like Pedialyte and coconut water, to rehydrate, get some quick carbs, and then usually just like I'll tell you what I had at Nationals. It's gonna sound really weird, but I'll take like a bagel. I like a soft bagel, so like doesn't it's easy to like digest. And at Nationals, I put honey and mustard on a bagel, and I just ate that. Um,
Mustard.
Hot
yeah,
take
honey,
there.
honey and mustard. Yeah, just good old homemade honey mustard. Believe it or not, because mustard's gonna help with like sodium and like
Yeah, you're
keeping you
cramping and all that. Yeah.
yeah. And it's just like it's easy. It's like it doesn't upset my stomach. Like I'm eating stuff to where it's like it just I don't want to feel like too bloated. So like and also like some pineapple, the bagel with honey mustard and like some like gummies, some small just like gummies, and
Fruit
then maybe
snacks?
like yeah, fruit snacks,
What
and
kind
then
of fruit
maybe
snacks? That's an important question.
Is
oh um I like Welch's, but it's all like these the Stinger brand.
Mhm.
I'll eat those. They got gummies, and then the brand Cliff Bar. They got these like block gummy things that I'll eat those too.
Yeah, I mean, we've been hearing that a lot lately. So we've heard both sides. We've heard guys say that they eat chicken parm after weigh-ins, but we've also heard guys that say that they eat soup because that's like something that won't upset their stomach, keeps them super
But my
not
my
bloated.
teammate my teammate eats actually teammates eat soup, but Peyton Hall he likes soup a lot.
Yeah, or we've just heard people say just a couple spoons of honey and they're all focused on the liquid. They're focused on just getting the liquid in more than they are what they're eating.
Yeah, I feel like it's just big preference, and it's like
Mhm.
how much weight are you cutting? Like
Yeah.
my stomach, it for me, I think my stomach just shrinks so much, so it's like
You're
stuff
pushing
that.
it with a bagel. Yeah.
hmm But I usually feel pretty good.
Yeah, man. I mean, the
I
life of a
mean, they look good.
125 pounder, man. This is something that that people don't really think about with wrestling, man. Is not a lot of 20, 21, 22-year-old men are supposed to be 125 pounds. It's
No,
not it's
no,
not too kind to them at all, but
and I want to add something too, and I'd be interested to hear what you guys have to hear about this. I would love to see the 1 hour weigh-in just go away.
I agree.
Um,
I agree.
I think it should be 2 hours probably just across the board. Like I don't understand why we have tournaments that are to 2 hour weigh in and then but for dual meets we just have an hour. Like it just doesn't make sense to me. I feel like I don't know, I feel like it would change a lot of things. I
It would
think
be great. I think 100% that would be something that would it would
Yeah,
only benefit the athletes because I think especially in this day and age, we've seen a ton of people, a ton of athletes, go through it mentally. And you talked about how you had to buy your own sports psychologist. And for me, that made me a little bit angry. There is no reason why you should have had to go out and buy your own sports psychologist because
I will say that they do offer us like sports
Mhm.
psych services here. Like we do have that. But I wanted to find someone that I
that was
could like
just
relate
focused on you. Yeah.
that I could relate to, and that the guy I found had some experience working with like combat athletes, and
Okay. Yeah. So I get
he did
that.
jujitsu himself. So it's like I wanted someone that could kind of relate to where I was coming from.
I take back my words, West Virginia. I'm no longer mad. Um, but I
no,
mean,
I think the 2 hour weigh-in is definitely necessary because
especially at the D1 level, especially at the D1 level.
I know there'll be times like you start weigh-ins, like you're 25, so like you'll start the weigh-in, but the people towards the back, like I was a 65 pounder, I'm not getting on the scale for another 10, 15 minutes, depending on how slow they go. Then I got to put all my stuff on, get to where I'm at, then eat, and that's all in an hour, and then I have to go warm up and wrestle. So I really only have a couple minutes.
I also think it's like the way that you prepare for a 1 hour weigh in versus a 2 hour weigh in is going to be completely different. So I think you'd probably see better wrestling, and I would hypothesize that there'd be less injuries just because it's like
You get a better warm up. Yeah.
the more dehydrated you are, the less food you have. Like you're just gonna get,
There's gonna be more
you're
time for that food to get in you, get going.
yeah,
Yeah, because like let's be honest, how much liquid is actually getting to your kidneys in that 1 hour time?
Not a lot.
not a lot, man.
Probably not a lot at all.
Especially you're
Probably.
not drinking enough so you don't get bloated or feel like crap.
I remember
Man,
it. I'm allowed to talk about this now because my wrestling career has ended. Um, but my sophomore year of high school, I did a 17-pound weight cut, 17 pounds in 2 days. And I remember just I was like stepping on the scale, bro. I couldn't get weighed. Like people had to literally like I had to step off, step on like 4 or 5 times because I was like literally shaking. I was literally hallucinating. Like the room was spinning. I'm shaking. Step on the scale, pound under. I'm like, wow, all right. And let me tell you, we had I think it was an hour. It was an hour, and I got pinned. Like it was a kid that I ended up beating like 3, 4 times throughout the rest of my high school career. But 17-pound weight cut, man, it was bad, especially on an hour weigh-in. I drank a Pedialyte, ate a PB&J and some fruit snacks, and like it just didn't hit me before I got out there, and I was dizzy and shaky and wasn't good, wasn't fun.
Yeah, and it's like I'm working out like probably within, that way. Like I'm working out at least twice a day of like an evening match, and then I'm definitely working out that night before, and then probably the morning before. So it's like that's a bitch right there in of itself. Your legs are jello a lot
And you
before you
might
go
get a
out
workout
there.
in that morning too.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. So it's tough, man.
Because what you're probably going to bed what 2 pounds over on the night before? Or are you somebody that has to see 125 on the scale before they go to bed at night?
Nah. I mean, I'll probably wake up that morning if it's a 1 hour weigh, and I'll probably wake up like 3.5 over.
Yeah, yeah, not too bad, not too bad.
No, not at all.
No,
I know a lot
I
of
feel like
people
the
do a lot
average
of
is like
different
two
things.
two to four 2 to 4
Hmm.
pounds. People are comfortable, and it all depends on what you're used to and your body's used to. And I mean, if in the perfect world you would walk around at 125 and you'd be good to go. And I don't think. Do you think you feel better when you're at the weight you're at like right now? Do you feel like physically better?
Yeah, I'd say yeah, definitely, definitely. Except since nationals, I've been like going crazy, so it's like I do kind of feel I'm starting to feel better these past couple of days because I've like tapered off what I was doing, but I was eating so much where I would just feel awful.
Yeah.
Which
What was the first cheat meal? What was that first meal where you broke the cut, man? What was that?
uh, I think it was that Saturday in Tulsa. I think I got like some French toast, and like we went out to a restaurant. I got some good French toast. But honestly, like my favorite food is Korean barbecue. If you guys have ever had Korean barbecue, so good, so good.
That's
Was
just it.
there ever a thought in your mind to go 33?
Um, no, I mean when I was at ODU, I actually wrestled 33 for a little bit, just because Mikhail was that was my the second year because Mikhail was at 25, and I was doing good at 25, and we didn't really have a solid 33 at that time, and so like they bumped me up. So that was just tough though, because I was like so small for the weight. Um, but no, I never really thought about it because like the cut was never too bad. I think this year it was hard for me to make weight a little bit just because like of my injuries, and so I couldn't cut the weight like I normally would. Like I couldn't really run, and I couldn't really do a lot of the things that I would normally do to make weight. So I had to adjust a lot of those things. So
Yeah. Crazy. That's crazy to me that, the whole thing with Old Dominion kind of still just doesn't sit right with me.
Yeah.
I feel like, if you think about how many All-Americans they've spread out around the wrestling world, that team would have been pretty good these last couple of years as a whole. Uh, which is crazy to think that they were on an up and program gets cut, but maybe one day, we're seeing the return of Morgan State after how many years. So who knows? Maybe we'll see a return of Old Dominion one day, and maybe you'll be the coach. Who knows? That would be something,
maybe
wouldn't it? That would be
never
something
know.
funny. And they decide to bring back wrestling. They bring in an Old Dominion guy that did really well. And I mean, awesome career, man. You've just, like you said, got on the podium twice, and you'll have some battle scars now the rest of your life to tell some stories to your kids about, you know, everything that you went through. And we see the bracket behind you. You were able to capture yourself a Big 12 title in that time, and you kind of did everything that you dreamed of, I'm sure, as a kid. And I'm sure you didn't really think the beginning. I'm sure your freshman year of college, you didn't think you were going to end up at West Virginia, but it happened, man. So just kind of give some closing statements, man, about what your career was like and any kind of things that you think you might have, wanted to do different or anything like that.
Yeah, man. Wild career. I'm extremely just grateful for like all the opportunities that I've had here and at ODU. You know, the things that I wish I would done differently, are things that like I don't wish, like the things that I wish I had done differently are things that I needed to have happen to me in order to grow as a person. So it's like things that I might have regretted doing or decisions that I made have made me into like kind of the person I am now. So it's like you need some of that bad stuff to kind of forge you as a man. Um, but yeah, man, like coming out of high school, you know, I wanted to be, or even before that, you know, like when you're in middle school watching, you know, you kind of first time you watch the nationals, I think I made a decision like 10 years ago to where it's like I want to be one of those guys wrestling on Saturday. And I want to be one of those guys, you know, on ESPN, you know, getting interviewed and being just one of the best guys in the country in my weight class. And it took a long time, you know, it took 10 plus years to see that goal kind of come to realization. But just like looking back on that and like seeing myself as a young kid and setting that goal and then realizing it, you know, 10 plus years later, I think is something that just gives me a lot of confidence, like moving forward to wherever I go. And it's like, I don't know. I just know that when you set a goal or something, like you don't know how long it's going to take to happen, you know, and you don't know the journey that's going to happen. And, you know, you might think, like you said, I didn't know I was going to come to West Virginia. Like I had no idea. So you just don't know where the journey's going to take you, man. But as long as you just kind of try to fall in love with the process, I think you can never go wrong. You know, I actually heard this quote that about success like 2 months ago, and it just always stuck with me. And it's like, success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. So as long as you're pursuing something that's meaningful to you and you know, you're trying to get after it, it's like you're successful, man. And it's like that's what I was talking about before. It's like it don't matter the outcome really, like wins, losses, that shit don't matter. But it's like who you become as you get like on that journey, like that's the most important thing, I think.
And I think, you know, you
I
talked
agree,
about
man.
wanting to start your own business, and that's a great words to live by, you know, is and you know, that's something that, you know, we strive ourselves on as well. And, we've put a lot into this, you know, and into this whole wrestling media thing and, you know, didn't start getting a return until about, 2 years ago. And, I started doing this, about 5 years ago. I was about 16 years old and, I had a passion for it. And I said, no matter where wrestling takes me, this is something that, I think one day will be, something big. And I think, we're on the brink. We're at the point now where a lot of people know who we are. We've been blessed with, a ton of the following that we have, and a lot of put your head down and grind. We get a lot of messages from kids that are starting to make wrestling media pages, and they got, 400, 500 followers, and they message us and they're like, well, how did you do it? And the only other thing I always say is just don't give up, and just you got to just do it. You got to just keep grinding and keep pushing forward and take risks. Did I think sending an Instagram DM from my personal Instagram account to Kyle Dake, did I think that was going to get Kyle Dake to come on the podcast and talk to me? No shot. Did it? Yes. I would have never figured that out if I didn't do it. So, I mean, that's just another thing, is just take risks. Don't be afraid. Failures are just a lesson that you learned. There's no negative outcome to failure. So,
Yeah, man. I mean, you only fail when you quit, you know what I mean?
mhm.
You only fail when you quit. And it's like I think like there's always going to be fear, man. You know, you're going to always be afraid of something, but you just have to, you know, attack that with the opposite of fear, which is just courage. And it's like a lot of times I think, especially when you're kind of coming up in wrestling, it's like you hear guys like they kind of put on a facade, I think, to where it's like, oh, I'm not afraid, I always know I'm going to win. And it's like me, I tried to make that my mentality, but it just never worked for me. And it's like, you know, being nervous and being excited, your brain, it's the same thing. And once I kind of figured that out, it's like, oh, I'm not like nervous, excited. That's just kind of the name that I give it. It's like my body's just ready to go. I'm excited. I don't know what's gonna happen, but I'm gonna adapt moment by moment, and you know, I'm afraid, but I'm gonna, like you said, take risks and put it all out there.
Yeah. So, final question for you, Killian. We asked this question about 160 odd times now to 160 of some of the world's greatest athletes and some of the world's greatest, wrestlers. So, you could take 3 of your West Virginia wrestling teammates with you into the zombie apocalypse. Who would they be and why?
And why? Um, you gotta go with the heavyweight, Michael Wolfgram. I guess I'm stealing this from McHale, but it's like they're big boys. They're gonna be able to, snap a zombie in half. So
Yeah.
definitely Michael Wolfgram. Who else? Wolfgram. I'm gonna take Jeffrey Boyd. Jeffrey Boyd, he was one of our 149 pounders. He's just resourceful and he's funny, so I'm gonna need someone to crack jokes. And then I'm gonna take his name's Colton Zrujas, because if I ever need someone to outrun, they're like someone to be faster than, I know I'm gonna be faster than him. So that might not be the most ethical or nice
The
thing,
damn
but
shame.
I'm throwing him under the bus. Yeah.
Works out, man. It works out.
Awesome, man. And Killian, thank you for your time, man. It's been awesome getting to know you and hear your story. And it's been another episode of the Heavyweight Nation podcast. We'll see you guys later.